Welcome to Scott Combs VoiceOvers Podcast, helping you start and grow your online voiceover business. You have to have a demo if you're going to be in this business. Lucky for you, we've created an outline that gives you 6 steps. So take a deep breath. We're plunging in head first on your first voiceover demo.
With multiple medical services under one roof by Fivrr. Please stay on the line for the next rail.
What is a demo? A demo is a collection of things you've read that people can listen to so you can get gigs. And it's really important because this is the way people decide whether they want to work with you or not. And you can't get an agent without one, likely several. It used to be in the old days, my demos were just a single monolithic demo that had everything on it that I did. So it had commercials on it, it had narrations on it, it had voice messaging on hold, any number of things, all on one demo tape. And we sent them out as cassette tapes at that time. And they were 3 minutes, 4 minutes long, and people were accepting those. Nowadays, you're going to have a separate demo for every category that you do. Now, your first demo is your first demo, okay? Demos are simply a snapshot in time. These are not the be-all and end-all. So don't worry about it if it's not as good as the next demo that you do. And demos change all the time, especially early in your career, because you'll find out that, oh, I don't like the way I read that now after all, I'm going to redo it. Or you'll get a job, someone paid you to do a job, you want that on your demo, so you'll add that into your demo and take something else out. They change constantly. Mine, and I sort of do what beginners do now. If I find there was a job I did that I really like, I'll ask for if I can use it. And then I'll put it into my reel right away and just propagate it across the internet and let it be what it is, right? Well, here's step 1 in today's outline. You need a source for scripts. And you need good scripts. And here's a good source for scripts over at voices.com. They've got a bunch of categories right here. And you can just go into each of the categories and pick things that you're interested in or think you might do well. Go in there, look at the script and read it out loud. See if it fits you well. See if it's easy for you to read and move on from there. Now, I will tell you one category they didn't show was voice messaging on hold, which is a pity because voice messaging on hold is a significant industry. And luckily enough, they didn't put it in the other one, but they put it on this page so you can get some voiceover on hold scripts there and get some things that are usable and that you feel really, really good about. Step 2 is you choose that category for your voiceover demo. What's it going to be? Is it going to be advertising? Is it going to be corporate narration? Is it going to be voice messaging on hold? But pick a category. I don't care which one you pick, just pick a category so that we can work very specifically. Step 3, choose scripts that show a range of reads from serious to delirious. And I mean that. You want as much breadth as you can get. You want to show contrast, one read to the next. And the way you're going to do that most likely is the emotional quality of whatever it is you're reading. Your demo is going to be 1 minute to 1.5 minutes long, not any longer than 1.5 minutes. In fact, there are some agents that say, if you send me a 1.5 minute demo, I won't listen to any of it. So you have to be, really careful about that. It's better if it's 1 minute than 1.5 minutes. Does that make sense? Very good. Be choosy. Find scripts that are easy to read, that you have an easy time interpreting, where you can pull out some emotional quality to it and use those to show your range. Step 4. You need to record your scripts. Now, recording your scripts requires the use of a digital audio workstation or DAW. Well, it requires software and a digital audio workstation. The DAW is just a fancy way of saying computer. What you need is the software part of it, right? So here's a bunch of great audio editing software, some of it very expensive, some of it free. Let's talk about it for just a minute. Avid is the industry standard, and it's what everybody in music uses. I know a guy who is a record producer who sits in front of his Pro Tools rig every single day. Apple Logic Pro 10, pretty good. I've used it. It's not too tough to learn. GarageBand is free, so if you have a Mac, it's already on it, or you can just go get it from the store. And it's pretty easy to use. What I don't know about it is whether or not it accepts plugins very easily. I imagine it does, but I don't know that for sure. Cubase Pro I've used a little of Ableton. I've used a lot of Reaper, some Audacity. Sequoia not so much. Samplitude I've used a lot of. Interesting note about Samplitude is it was actually designed in East Germany on an Amiga computer, and then it grew up after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Very interesting. I was happy to use it. Now, the one I'm going to point you at is Reaper. The reason I am pointing you at Reaper is because it is part of that free to cheap thing. You can use it on an extended free license for a very long time without having to pay anything, which allows you to learn how to use the program pretty well. And then if you're making less than $20,000 a year on it, they'll only charge you $60. If you're making more than $20,000 a year, I think they want $200 or $250. That's cheap for software that can do everything that Avid's Pro Tools can do. So, and you can grow into it a little bit, which I think makes it really nice. Plus, Reaper's the one I use right now, and a lot of voiceovers use it. There's a lot of third-party developers, or I should say third-party folks, who do tutorials on how to use it. Plus, Reaper has their own. So there's a lot of ways to learn to use Reaper, and the learning curve gets dramatically lessened. Because of these things, and I'm a big believer in those. So if you run into trouble using the software, go to YouTube for help. No matter what software you're using, somebody has a tutorial on it. I pretty much guarantee it. So, and right now, don't worry about anything other than recording, editing, and rendering audio. Those are the only three things you need to do on any of the software, okay? So, step 5 is you edit and render your reads. Use the best part of each read and keep it short. 5 to 7 seconds is the outside, okay? So certainly no more than 7 seconds, and 7 might be pushing it a little bit. You've only got a minute to a minute and a half to work with, and you want to show that range. Listen to other voiceovers demos and see what they're doing. And you'll notice that everybody jams one cut up against the next because the people listening to it want to move through this thing quick. They don't want to be listening to transitions and no, get me to the next thing, get it right now. If the edit seems a little clunky, I don't care. I'm not judging your editing, I'm judging your ability to read. So they all get butted up together, okay? I'll leave a link to my website up there. You can take a listen to my demos too and use those as a way to decide how you want to do your own. Step 6, I want you to set up a Fivrr account. Why a Fivrr account? Glad you asked. They are low-cost jobs where you can make your mistakes, and you aren't making them out in the wild, wild west of voiceovers. So you go to Fivrr, you set up a voiceover account, you offer your services, and these are jobs that are $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $50 a piece. Take them. You want to get paid to do this. Plus, you never know where it'll go. I've read a couple of guys who were doing great on Fivrr. And I was on Fivrr for the shortest amount of time, and I ended up, well, mine's an unusual story. I ended up making about $12,000 or $13,000 there, but that was it. There wasn't much else I was getting on Fivrr. So once that big project was over, I moved on to other things. Now, you will move on to other things as well because no agents are going to sign you if you have a Fivrr account. If people can find you for $5, they're not going to pay what your agent is charging for you, and you want to get into those bigger paying jobs. It's better for you. This, I think, is the steepest part of the learning curve, but there is no better way to get through it than just doing it, okay? And if you don't like what's going on, scrap everything, start over, find new scripts, read them, edit them, render them, see if it makes sense to you, see if it turns you on, see if you say, ooh, that's actually pretty good. Compare it to other people's reads and see where you're kind of fitting in. It's really important you learn how to do this without getting all, down on yourself, because this is a learning process. Remember, this does take time. Now, you can check out these videos if you want to learn more about being a voiceover artist. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.